Hello folks, in today's video I'd like to share with you some of the things that I do to help myself get a good night's sleep despite having chronic tinnitus. Tinnitus can affect your sleep patterns, especially if you're going through a spike. I know because I'm going through a spike right now and it's definitely waking me up once or twice a night. So I'd like to share with you some of the things that I think are best practices and things that help me in the hope that they help you get a good night's sleep. So let's get into it. Tip number one, and it's simply this. Give importance to best practices for sleep. Sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but this is what I mean. We've got to give this area some importance. We got to look at it and say, if I need to make small changes in my day-to-day life or small adjustments to my sort of routines, I've got to do it because it's important. I am a person with tinnitus. Tinnitus can affect sleep. Sleep is really important, so I got to look at this area and I've got to make small changes, small adjustments to my routine so I can give myself the best chance at a good night's sleep. I say this as someone that has suffered serious bouts of insomnia, not related to tinnitus. That's got nothing to do with tinnitus, but I have in the past have had nights or periods like 2 to 3 weeks, even up to a month, where I was getting 2 hours a night. And it really affects you. It affects you emotionally. It makes you incredibly vulnerable. You lose strength. You lose emotional strength. It really messes you up. So when I say I've got to give sleep importance, I say that as a person that has really suffered from insomnia in the past. I've not had that for a while, and I've had a really, really good run now for a good few years. But my point is, I know what it's like to not sleep well, and it's not good for us. It makes us very vulnerable. So we got to give this area importance and make any adjustments that we might need to make because it's important. Number two, and this might sound really obvious, but I'm going to point it out because sometimes we need the obvious pointed out. Fresh air and exercise are perhaps our best friend when it comes to sleep. I spend a lot of time in the studio, I spend a lot of time inside, and I can sometimes forget to go outside. But I try and make a point of every single day going for a 30-minute to an hour walk. Not only is the cardiovascular good for me, something about being in the fresh air tires me out. I wish I knew the science behind it. I really do, because it's interesting. But fresh air in my lungs tires me out for the nighttime. When I went through a bout of insomnia, I think it was back in 2016-17, I can't remember. I went through a really bad period of insomnia for a number of weeks and it was just grinding me down. I went to see a friend of mine who's a naprapat. A naprapat is a form of physiotherapy. He said to me, I can give you some massages, that's going to help you, but the thing that can help you the most is going for walks. I thought, really, walks? That simple? He said, try it. I took his advice and from then on, every day I go for a walk. It helps. It really, really helps, because what he did was he drew a diagram of a glass of water. He said, right now your water limit is at the edge and it's overflowing. We need to take some of that water out. And the way we take the water out is reducing stress, stuff that I've mentioned in other videos. Exercise and fresh air will really help reduce the water level so that you're below the limit. So if you can, if you might work in an office, I work in a studio, but if you can, try to remember to get as much fresh air every day as you can, especially if you're going through a bad period with your sleep. It really might help you. Tip number three, equally as important, end of day best practices. So what does that mean? I finish work at a certain time. No matter how busy I am with deadlines, now I know this is difficult. We have deadlines, we've got work, we've got bills to pay. I know this is difficult. But if you're going through a bad period of sleep, consider this. End of day best practices. At the end of the day, I make sure to wind down at least an hour, preferably 2, before I'm even thinking of going to bed. That means closing the studio. It means relaxing. It means filling my mind with uplifting content. I don't watch the news. Notifications on my phone goes off at 9:30. Might sound extreme, but that's just what works for me. I don't want any stressful things coming in at a certain time, because I really believe that winding the body and, more importantly, the mind down at a certain time of night, an hour, 2 hours before we want to go to sleep, I think is really important. Think of it, it's like vibrations. it sounds a bit off topic, but if we have vibrations going through our mind and then through our body, stress, work stuff, work emails, bills, that's, you know, we're still vibrating when we go to sleep. So it can cause problems with sleeping. But if we say to ourselves, I am a person with tinnitus, this is why I'm a big believer in labeling ourselves as a person with tinnitus. I am a person with tinnitus. I therefore have to wind down at a certain time of night so that I can get a good night's sleep, because sleep is important. So the next tip, I've forgotten what number it is, but the next tip, when you're lying there in the middle of the night and you hear that noise in your mind, try to not give it any importance and don't attach any emotion to it. Now, this is the most difficult point, because your immediate reaction is to blame the tinnitus for lack of sleep and to attach negative emotions to it, and then we get this, and we don't want that, because we're not going to win. So when you're lying there and you hear it, try just to not give it any importance, because we are the ones giving it importance. We're the ones giving it energy, because if we don't give it energy, essentially what is it? It's just a noise. It's nothing. But we've got to convince ourselves to not give it any importance, and it's the hardest thing to do. It's not easy, because our instinctive thing is to do this, to fight it, to hate it, to entangle our emotions into it. But then we get entangled, and we don't want that. We want to be free of it. It's not easy. I'm not suggesting it is easy, because it's not. But when I lie there at night and I hear it, I used to get angry. I used to think, why me? I'm a musician. Why? Blah, 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 blah. Now I hear it, and then I just move on. I don't give it any importance. I put the TV on. I think of something else. I don't attach any emotion to it. Because if I do, I start to get angry. I start to stimulate my mind. I do this, and then I'm in trouble, because I'm going to struggle to sleep. It's not easy. It's taken me a long time to get to that place. But now I'm going through a spike right now. And I wake up and it's really loud. But when I hear it, I check how loud it is, and then I just let it go. I don't even check how loud it is. I don't attach importance to it, because it's not important to my life. My life, me, what I'm doing is important. That's not important. And the less emotion you give it, the less this, and the less this, the less vibration going through your mind and your brain and your body, and the more sleep. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.